We're crossing the river to talk to a man who hopes to replace New Jersey Senator Bob Menendez. Then we spotlight a growing problem in the city, squatters. The Point starts right now. Congressman Andy Kim thought he'd have an uphill battle for the Democratic Senate nomination until New Jersey First Lady Tammy Murphy suddenly dropped out. Now the race looks a whole lot easier. But you know, you entered the race on a whim, and then all of a sudden you had to face Tammy Murphy. How did that feel, and did that make you think maybe I should quit, maybe I should drop out?
Well, I will say, I jumped into this Senate race. I did not plan to run for Senate. It was not something I was expecting to do. I jumped in only 24 hours after the indictment of Senator Menendez. I remember I couldn't go to sleep that night. I just felt like I had to do something. And you decided to do it because you felt what? I felt like New Jersey deserved the choice. You know, the people of New Jersey deserved a choice, and I was really worried that, he would survive this in the same way that he survived the last indictment, and, that we wouldn't have the kind of accountability that was necessary. So I took a chance. I put my whole career in the line. I was not able to run for re-election in the House. But you're right. Once I got word that the First Lady, Tammy Murphy, was going to jump in, I mean, that is the most powerful political family in the state of New Jersey. And it was very intimidating. And I had a number of party leaders tell me, they called me up and tell me that I should drop out and run for re-election in the House of Representatives. But
why didn't you do that? That was a safe choice.
Look, I think I just, what I told one of them in the call is I said, I don't think I could look my two little boys in the eye. Like, I have a 6-year-old and an 8-year-old, two little boys. I don't think I could look them in the eye if I was stepping down, to pave the way for someone else who I thought, I could do this job. Like, I think I am the stronger candidate. I think I am the person with more experience that can help serve our state. I don't want to step aside just because, I think someone else is, more connected and more powerful politically than I am.
So when she dropped out, how did you feel? A surprise, elated?
Yeah, well,
I got a chance? What?
It was a surprise. I'll be honest with you. I still haven't fully processed it.
You didn't think it was coming?
I did not expect it to come. I was ready to fight this all the way to, 8 p.m. on June 4th. And look, I'm going to still press hard. I only know one speed, so I'm going to continue to press hard.
You also still have a primary.
Yes, exactly. There are other competitors in the race, so I want to make sure that I'm engaging. And look, I want to meet as many voters as possible. But what I will say, though, is that, yes, I'm still kind of processing all the news over the last few days. I have to say, it is a testament to the unbelievable energy from the people, the grassroots, whereas the political elites, even my congressional colleagues in Congress, supported the First Lady over me. It was very lonely for a while. I thought, I felt like I was kind of radioactive. People in politics in New Jersey didn't want to be seen in public with me.
But now things have changed.
Because of the people. I mean, we started doing these events in houses and restaurants and bars all over the state of New Jersey. And I wasn't sure who, if anyone was going to show up, but all of a sudden we started having packed houses and people showing up, people saying like they want to hear what I have to bring to the table. And that's when I realized that there's something amazing happening in New Jersey. Something was catching fire.
But Bob Menendez still looms large over this race, and his threat to run as an independent could prove a problem.
It could prove a problem. And,
it could divide the Democratic vote. It
could, and that's why I feel like I would be the strongest candidate to go up against, potentially him as well as a Republican candidate. I am, of the candidates left in the Senate race, I am the only one who has run and won an election before. I won 3 previous races.
And in a seat that was Republican before.
Correct. Yeah, I was a Democrat that twice won a district that Trump won twice. In the year 2020, I was one of only 7 Democrats in the entire nation that won a district Trump won. So it shows that, I can outperform. I outperformed Joe Biden by 8 points in 2020 to win this district. So the strength of my ability to outperform partisanship, to build a coalition of independent voters, even some Republicans, I think it puts me in a strong place to not only beat a Republican, but overcome any type of challenge from a third party, whether that be someone with the last name Menendez or not.
So let me ask you this question. You're still a congressman. I wonder how you feel about a bill introduced by Mikey Sherrill, a fellow congresswoman from New Jersey, that would limit Bob Menendez's access to classified information. Is that something that you would support, you would vote for? You will have to vote on it if it comes to the floor.
Yeah, look, I still need to read through it, but you know, from my understanding of it, it does sound like something that I would support. You know, I worked in national security prior to my time in Congress. I've had a security clearance for this country for over half of my life. I understand what it means to have to deal with classified information. I respect it. It's important. Lives are on the line about this, and we need to be careful. And certainly
he was chairman of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee for a long time until he got indicted.
Yeah, but you know, when he got indicted, the charges are about potential cases where one of the charges is acting as a foreign agent. You know, so yes, he was, you know, the most powerful person on Capitol Hill for foreign policy, but there are concerns that he was using that power for purposes that weren't serving our national interests, was instead serving his personal interests. So that's alarming. But look, I mean, you know, that's also something that could potentially apply to former President Donald Trump and others. Like, you know, I do think we need to take a look at how it is that we divulge and share the most sensitive and important information that our country safeguards.
Well, since this bill basically says that if you've been indicted on criminal charges, not convicted but indicted, you should have be restricted to your access to classified information, it would apply to Donald Trump. So do you think that because of that, it won't get support from Republicans in the House and that its fate is difficult? Or do you think some Republicans and Democrats would make it pass?
I think there's a good chance that this gets politicized, and you know, I'd have to kind of think through it some more. But I mean, that would be a shame if it is, because, you know, as I said, I used to work at the State Department, the Pentagon, the White House National Security Council. We used to have a saying that, you know, the last thing that you want in the Situation Room is partisan politics. You know, like, we should not be making decisions about our national security, thinking about elections, thinking about our partisan politics. You know, that is a place where we have to safeguard what it means to be American and what our national interests are. So that would be a real shame if that happened.
So the big issue, one of the biggest issues facing the country today is what's going on in the Middle East and the call or the demand by some that there should be a ceasefire in Gaza. I wonder where you stand on that. Yeah,
look, I mean, you know, this is one of the most difficult conflicts I've ever seen in my life, and I say that as someone who's worked in diplomacy in the Middle East and elsewhere. You know, it is a situation where we have to think about how do we lift up security for everybody there. I do believe at this point there needs to be an end to this war, an end to this conflict. We need to be able to get those hostages out of there. You know, I made a promise to many of the families of the hostages that I met. We need to get them out of there. Right now, we're seeing a humanitarian catastrophe unlike anything I've seen in my life. I worked at the U.S. Agency for International Development. There's an incoming famine here right now that would be devastating. We would see a death toll well beyond what we've seen right now. So I believe we need to be able to bring this violence to a close. We need to make sure that it's immediate, that it's permanent, that, you know, that we have that bilateral ceasefire that's able to push this forward and allow for the hostages to get out and to surge humanitarian support getting in to save as many lives as possible.
How did you feel about what Chuck Schumer said?
About Netanyahu and
you know,
broadly?
Basically what he says is not only a ceasefire, but there needs to be a new election to replace Netanyahu.
Well, look, you know, I certainly have my concerns about some of the policies that Netanyahu has been pushing forward. I think that, you know, the United States and Israel continues to have, you know, a partnership that needs to be able to endure just the current leadership that's there. But, you know, there are a lot of concerns that I have. You know, it's up to the Israelis in terms of when and how they conduct their elections. But, you know, certainly I am frustrated by some of what I've seen, and especially in terms of the challenges with getting humanitarian assistance in and other policies there. And I'm hopeful that we can have this diplomatic breakthrough right now that Secretary Blinken and others are pushing on. I really do hope that we can find a way. You know, the top priority I keep hearing from everyone, whether Israeli officials that I talk to or Jewish American families here in New Jersey, New York area, is get the hostages out. You know, let's try to make sure we prioritize that, try to bring this to a close.
Well, Congressman, we're going to have to leave it right there for now, but our conversation continues right after the show on our streaming channel, CBS News New York. Councilwoman Vickie Paladino is here with her trademark no-holds-barred approach to New York City politics. The first thing I want to talk to you about, though, isn't a problem. It's not an old problem, but now it's a new problem. Squatters. Why are we now focusing on it? Why is it so important?
Well, because it's becoming rampant. It's become a crime of opportunity. They are very much aware, these people, of what they are allowed to get away with, and they know if they're somewhere for 30 days, they could stay. And that is why we are having the influx of what we're having. In my district, it's become rampant.
So people are going to houses, and either they rent or whatever, they stay for 30 days, and they say, I can change the locks?
Yeah. They are allowed to do that. They are within their legal right to change the locks.
How is that a good thing?
Yeah, it's not a good thing. These people are
How is it affecting the homeowners in your district?
Well, my homeowners, some of them have lost their homes. Some of them are waiting to occupy their homes, so they're tied up within 2 to 3 years of legalities. While these people are still living in their homes, paying nothing. So a lot of people are 3 years behind on mortgage payments. They don't know what to do now. They call the police. The police come. The squatter says, I'm here for 30 days. They don't show any proof that they're there. Where's the lease? Where's the document? Another thing they do is the squatters actually go to legitimate real estate people, and they say they've got a room to rent or a basement to rent. They're the squatter. And they are actually renting out rooms or renting out a basement.
And making money. And
making money while the homeowner is watching all of this happen with no rights.
So you got a bill?
Yes, I do.
You want to change it?
Well, they're upstate in Albany. They're working on something to amend what's up in Albany. And what's up in Albany is they want to take it from 30 days to 45 days.
That's not enough, you say?
Not enough, no.
So what do you want to do?
I want at least 180 days. So we're drawing it up now. We're working with legal at City Hall to word it as such that 180 days is 6 months, because a homeowner still has to go through the courts. I want to change from civil court to criminal court. These people are criminals now. These are criminals. And it works two ways, Marcia. People come in, they see an empty house, they come in, they take over. But then there's the other side of it. People who were good paying tenants who wake up one day and decide they're not going to pay their rent anymore. And I want that word changed, because now tenant sounds like something that's a good thing, right? I want that changed to squatter.
So let me ask you something. It's obviously a political hot potato. So do you think you'll be able to get Democratic support in the council for something like this, moving it to 180 days?
You know, I would hope so. I mean, I always go in with the highest of hopes that people will actually see some common sense here. But when you're working with the city council who just introduced and passed 632, which is for no background checks, Marcia.
No background checks on the people who want to rent your property.
Yeah, I'm a two-family home, okay? I want to rent to you. So I say to you, hi, nice to meet you. Sit down, let's have a conversation. Can you show me some proof of employment? Nope. Can you give me a letter of recommendation as to where you lived before you came to my house? No. Can't ask them anything. No background checks whatsoever. Have you ever been married before? No.
You can't ask any of those questions?
None of those questions. So you could rent to one person, they can move in 6 people with them.
So this is also worrying people in your district who may have maybe snowbirds and have you know, houses in Florida, because they're worried about going and leaving their house unattended.
That's correct.
Because what could happen?
Well, people could they know you're gone. You know, everybody's very big on posting on Facebook. I'm going away. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. Well, good for you. But you go public with that, you're opening, now in this crazy world we're living in, what's happening is you're opening up yourself to someone saying, that house is going to be empty. So
in other words, somebody could break in, live there for 30 days, and you have no recourse?
And what proof do they, no recourse. And what proof do they have that they're there for 30 days? What if the police, the neighbor calls, a concerned neighbor calls, and says to the police, we have something going on next door. And we have had this happen. Drug dealers they opened up a house. What happens is the police come, They could be there a week. They could tell the police they're there for 30 days, and the police must turn around and leave. They have to leave them alone. And meanwhile, they're only there a week. They don't even ask for proof. It's ridiculous.
So the other question I have is this. There is a migrant who's taken to TikTok and urging people to go and invade people's houses and squat. So is that turning out to be something that you're afraid is going to catch on here in New York?
Of course it is. It's only a matter of time. They're doing it now. They're doing it now. Look at what happened to that woman, okay, Nadia. She came home to her mother's apartment that she inherited to prepare it for her friends or family members that were going to come and stay. And two 20-year-old illegal immigrants were in her house. They beat her to a pulp, stuffed her in a duffel bag, where her son, who's 19, found her. Now, the only reason why he knew for sure his mom was back from Spain was because they had trackers on each other's phones. So within 24 hours of not hearing back from his mom, he got very concerned. He went to see the super of the building. Now we're into 40 hours, 48 hours. The super allowed him upstairs. The police followed suit. It was he who found the duffel bag. It was he who found that leg hanging.
Now, we're not trying to impugn all migrants.
Oh, no, we can't do that.
But I think that are you concerned because there is this influencer, a migrant, who's urging other migrants?
Absolutely.
And we haven't really seen that happen in New York, but are you afraid it could come here?
Of course it's going to happen. It's probably happening now. It's just a matter of people coming public with it. It's not good.
So, talking about migrants, how do you feel about the fact that the city is now giving debit cards to the families of migrants who arrive here?
Look, we have rolled out the red carpet. I've said it again and again. They have food, they have housing, they have medical, they have school, they have everything they need. The idea that this is going to save the city $600,000 a month, in all good intentions that the mayor does have, I could certainly understand that. But what's going on now, we're giving out these cards in hopes that nobody does the wrong thing with them. It's going to start a black market. You could bet on it.
People are going to sell the cards?
You bet.
Yeah, but then they won't be able to eat if they sell the cards.
They have food at the shelter. They get 3 square meals a day. They get snacks all day long.
I thought this was supposed to be
It all comes under the guise of they didn't like the food they were being served. Now, that's a fact. When I had the respite center and you came to see me in College Point,
right.
You want to know what was filled in those black garbage bags?
Food.
Food. Food. And they were getting really good food. And they don't like the food, we got to try to supplement them. So under the guise that it's going to save the city money. I do not agree with this program. No, I do not.
So, is it fair to people in New York that they're getting $350?
Well, here we go.
We have about 30 seconds left.
Okay. I've got a woman who works in my office, single mom, 2 kids. She doesn't even have $350 a week to spend on food, period.
Okay, well, we're going to have to leave it right there for now, but we'll be right back. Thank you for joining me. It's still only the first inning in the 2024 presidential race, but with Donald Trump currently ahead in the polls, we thought it would be interesting to explore what voters expect if he wins. They're weighing in on your point. What would a second Trump presidency look like?
It would be a nightmare.
Indescribable. A disaster.
Destruction to America.
Great. Great. I don't even want to think about it.
It would be a revenge tour.
I can't think about it.
I would be really scared again, and it's been nice living without that fear for the last 4 years.
I think it is going to be much of the same.
What do you think he would do first?
He would provoke some crisis at the border, and then after that he'd start locking up his enemies.
Release all the January 6 rioters.
I don't know, something loud. I actually, it's upsetting to talk about.
Probably round up immigrants and throw them out of the country.
Like he did before, maybe he's going to care for the borders so the immigrant won't come in the United States.
Border control right away. I mean, that's what he's been talking about all over in all the rallies, right?
I think he would probably, I'm not a Trump fan, but I think he would probably get to the border situation first.
What should he do first?
I think he should do that. I mean, look what's going on in New York.
Apologize for not transferring the power in the first place.
Recuse himself and go to jail.
What would you say to people who are excited about the possibility he'd be president?
They really love this country.
This is America. I think everyone has, I think that it's okay to be excited.
I think it's scary. They're very misguided. They're very ill-informed. It's very scary.
If they're excited about that, then they're excited about dictatorship.
What would you say to people who have anxiety about the thought of a second Trump presidency?
Do what I do. Don't think about it. Focus on just taking the next step forward and get a good cup of coffee.
Good luck to them.
I would say you have every reason to be scared and try to organize to stop it.
You should be concerned because he wants to basically destroy most of our institutions.
I'm here for you. I relate to you.
Don't worry, he won't pass.
What would you say to people who are afraid of another presidency by Trump?
America's America. It'll be okay. The same thing happened in 2016. I was still a student and at a very liberal school. When I came in, people were crying. People were super upset that Trump got elected. They said it was the end of America, this, that. I mean, we've been around for almost 300 years now. I think that we'll live to see,
We'll
beyond
survive.
Trump. Yeah, exactly.